Making sure my video is up so I can turn it up and let you hear what I've got to say. Today, what are we learning? Oh my goodness. Well, let me tilt it a little bit more so you're not too close to me. I'm going to teach you how to build a house. Yep, Barbie's going to teach you how to build a house. You're going to be like, what? How am I going to build a house? No, you're going to love this one. First, I'm going to go through the earthquakes and all that disaster stuff that's come up. So, yeah, pardon my mess over here. The first earthquakes is 1,589. We got 7 earthquake magnitude of 5 point plus. And then there's 144 that's 3 plus. But the strongest one is in, which is a cute island. It's called South Sandwich Island. Who names these things? I don't know. Quebec had, excuse me, the strongest one was at the South Sandwich Islands, which is 5.7. Quebec, Canada was 3.0. You can still feel it, but not as much. And then we got West Greece, which was 2.2. Floods, there's hundreds of floods. There's, people who have passed or are stranded, and there's ongoing search for missing people. And there's also storms. Severe, strong storms are in Saudi Arabia. Indonesia's got lava flows, which is evacuations. They're doing their best. South Africa, a massive hailstorm. Canada, they have heavy snowstorms. The Philippines is just like Indonesia. It's got their volcano, which is a 2,100 meter ash cloud. Wow. Now, what are we doing? Right now, first we're going to do the gospel. I only brought all that up so you understand what's going on. I can turn that over. 1 Corinthians 15, 1 through 4. Moreover, brethren, I declare unto you the gospel which I preached unto you, which also ye have received, and wherein ye stand, by which also ye are saved, if ye keep in memory what I preached unto you, unless ye believed in vain. For I delivered unto you first of all that which I also received, how that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, and that he was buried, and that he rose again the third day according to the Scriptures. Speaking of Scriptures, I'm going to read, and I lost that one. I don't know why that went away. I'm going to pause this and find it. Give me a minute. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I had my scriptures all set, and then all of a sudden I missed one. We're going to go to Luke 14:28. Excuse me. Oh, yeah. It's just one of those mornings. My cat wouldn't stop screaming at everybody, not just me. Luke 14:28. If you need some time to get there, just pause the video. This one's gonna be really a big one. Which for which of you intended to build a tower sitteth not down first to counteth the cost, where he have sufficient to finish it? Which is true. If you don't have the money to start and to finish your project, your house, don't even think about it. Now, what you can do is do what my mom used to do and my dad. Because when I was little, I didn't have a house. We lived in an apartment with my son and my brother. And when my father worked, he worked 3 jobs. So he could build up the money. It's just like in, what was it? I think it's called Bridge, it's a card game. There was, if you only have 2 people playing with you, when you have 4 people, it's fine, but when you have 2 people playing with you in Bridge, you have the dummy, you have the kitty. Don't ask. I don't know where it came from. It's just that way. So what my father used to say, I'll put the money in the dummy, for the house and put the other money in the kitty so we can buy our food and pay our bills and all that stuff. And when he built up enough money, he had to figure out how big of a house he wanted, how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, and so on and so forth. He also had to figure out all the material, which I'm going to talk about in just a minute. I have another scripture, just give me a minute. I'm going to tell you everything you're going to need, and then I'm going to tell you the simple stuff you need, so you won't have to go out and buy all this crazy stuff. It's just, a lot. So let's go on to our next scripture. And remember, this is going to be a long one. Why? Because Matthew 7, verses 24 through 25. Like I said, you can pause the video if you want. Therefore, whosoever heareth these things of mine and doeth them, I will liken him unto a wise man that built his house upon a rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon the house, and it fell not, for it was found upon the rock. Now, our rock is Jesus Christ, of course. But also, that's not just biblical. That's confidential. That's actually what you need. Some people, they build basements. I prefer not to have a basement because it gets flooded. Also, the picture that you see at the thumbnail, my father always told me there's three houses that are built so that it's so sufficient that you wouldn't have to pay a bill. And if you pay a bill, you won't have to worry about so much. Sorry. I buy solar panels. I'm a solar panel freak. It's disgusting. I have only one right now. My son won't let me buy anymore. There's a reason for that. Mom, if you had money, I wouldn't care. But right now, my new job will take me because I'm too old, apparently. But, so here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to shut this whole thing down because we don't need this anymore. We're going to see me. Sorry, I'm just a weird person today. I have some things for you. Okay. When you first have to let's say you want to get a house, or let's say you want to build a house. First off, let me put this down for a second. First off, if you build it into a hill, make sure the hill's a little bit below your house so you don't get mudslides or whatever. And make sure the house is sitting up against the whole hill, not just a part of it, so you don't have the mudslides coming down. If it rains, you know what I mean? If you're in a rainy area or a snowy area, basically. And you have to pardon me, old man put the heat on, so I'm sniffing a lot. You'll hear that. Anyways, or you can build it with stone into a hill. My father always told me the smart thing would be, if you're going to have a hill, is to build underground. First off, you won't have to worry about the outside because the outside's the hill. Secondly, you won't get a flood as long as you have a good firm house, but you put like glass on top, just like you would a regular house top. You know what I mean? Instead of a flat one, you make it kitty corner, as my father put it, so that the rain won't go off. And make sure when you use anything, basically, if you're gonna dig in deep into and I'll explain why doing it inside, because if you use cement or stone, I've seen people use stone and cement around the stone or the brick. It'll keep your temperature the same temperature all the time. So say you want to keep it at 75 degrees all year round. It'll stay that way. It won't go up. It won't go down. Why? Because all the air, all the cold and hot air are only on the surface. They're not underneath. That's why a lot of plants, they hibernate into the dirt because there's no cold on there. It's just about a good 2 inches below. So, what is the first thing you need besides tools? I'm going to tell you which tools it is. Yeah, pardon me. Hold on. Okay. The tools you'll need, I'm going to tell you exactly. And then I'm going to tell you what you should have and what you don't really need right now. To build a house, you need, and this is a rough draft. Don't follow what I do in this way. You need a plan. I don't know if you can see that. It's a plan. You need a plan. You need a... Now it went out of my head. Well, you know what I mean. Your little drawings. You know, I also have, let me switch off another piece, an attic. Okay. The only reason why I'm saying that is this house would be a 5-bedroom house. Okay. Now, the reason why I'm telling you all this is I know how to build. Mommy taught uh, my brother how to cook, and I don't know how to cook very well. My son does all the cooking. And my father taught me how to build. Showed me how to build a doghouse. That was the first step. He showed me how to put shingles on. And he built the doghouse on purpose to teach me how to build a house. It was just a one room, of course, but he said when your mother, told me how big she wanted the kitchen, she didn't realize that the appliances were on one side and the cabinets were on the other, and you had small little walkway to go through. She's like, I didn't want that. And he's like, you should have figured out, and that's what you have to do. When you get it, it's called a blueprint. Thank you. That's God. You get a blueprint. Now, you can make it yourself. I suggest you go someplace and say, a place that does blueprints, can you make me a blueprint? You have to tell them the exact size, the width, the length, and the height. Some people are smart. They're using storage containers. The storage containers are 40 feet high. That's really high for, and you could probably take like 5 feet of that and make a stairway to go up and just put the boards down and cover that right up. Some people don't paint them, but I think they're prettier when they're painted. Of course, I'm a girl, woman, whatever. Anyways, excuse me. So, first things you will need, and then I'll tell you what you really don't have to have. A tape measure, a chalk line. That's used to straighten everything out. It has a string with chalk on it. Or you can get a laser or a spirit level, a laser pointer. That also can help you. I know it sounds silly. You're going to need shovels and digging tools. If you're going to want a basement, definitely. But if you don't want a basement, you will still have to dig. Yes, you still have to dig. Of course, you're going to need a wheelbarrow for everything. A mason hammer, if you want to do it with stone. Stone is just like wood. Stone, if you put the stone in, say if you're building out of the hill, and you build it with stone, you have to use cement to attach it together and let it dry. It's going to take a long while to dry. Also, you can also do it with, uh, sorry, uh, you can also do it with logs. Make a log home. I love log homes. First off, when you build a regular house and you put siding on it, did you know that the wood of the siding, it breathes? The wood breathes. If you put siding on it, you're stopping it from breathing, and it won't work out as well. But if you have like a hot log home, number one, does the same thing as I said as the underground. It keeps the heat in and the cold out, or vice versa. It stays the same temperature all year round. But you have to pre-treat that. But with the stone, see, it's either way. Stone, you have to wait for it to dry. Uh, Wood, you have to pre-treat it. So either way, it depends on what you want to do and how you want it to look. Um, Also, so because this is where it comes in, a mason hammer, a stone chisel set. Now, hear me out. I'm going to tell you everything, but a lot of this you probably won't have to use. A brick or a stone trowels, a mortar mixer or mixing tub, a pointing trowel, which is the same thing, a mason saw, an angle grinder with a diamond blade, either one. And you'll understand that in a minute. Yes, this is going to be a very long video, so if you want to stop and come back and listen to the rest, that's fine. A joint rake, which removes the old mortar, okay? A mason's line, basically the same thing as the other line. Uh, you also have to have buckets for the mortar, a rubber mallet, a circular saw or a table saw, and a handsaw. Definitely a handsaw, because you're going to want to cut down. If you're doing wood, stick wood, you're going to need to cut it down somehow or at an angle. And that's also what the pointers are for. Where are we? Oh, power drill or driver, or power drill and a driver. A hammer, of course, nail gun, which is optional but it's helpful. A carpenter's square. Now, if you don't know what carpenter's square is, it's kind of like a triangle, and it helps you do the circumference or the corners. It's also like a triangle type of thing. My father always used the triangles. He never used the square. You're going to need clamps. Clamps that clamp on your wood or anything, whatever you need. We're going to go through all this. Oh boy. Chisels, wood planer, which is optional. Wood planer. In case you don't know what that is, it's kind of like a sander, except it helps take off a little bit more of the wood. A sander. There you go. A frame nailer or framing hammer. They're both basically the same. Yes, I'm going to tell you what they mean. An impact driver, a level. Everybody needs a level. You definitely need a level. That's one thing you definitely need is a level. If you don't have a level, you don't have a house. A speed square. I don't use that. Sawhorses. Yes, you definitely will need those, no matter what you're using, because putting even a stone, you still have to use wood for the stone. It's a long story in that part, but you also need, of course, a ladder or a scaffold. Oh, I'm on the next page. I'm almost done with this thing. Mortar mix, cement, or you need rebar, especially with the stone walls, because it reinforces them to stand up straight. And that's the same thing with the basement. If you have a basement, you definitely need rebar to be in the walls to keep them straight. You can tell when I know what I'm doing. uh, a nails, screws, and bolts, wood beams, studs, and excuse me, joists. You know the wood beams hold everything up. The studs, it's like every 6 feet you have to put a stud in, or every 4 feet, depending on your house, on how you have to do your house. The joists to lift things up in case you need to have to lift a certain uh, piece of the wood up to nail it in, if you know what I mean. If you don't know what I mean, please leave me a message. It's fine. Uh, Stone blocks or natural stone. The smart thing would be natural stone. Natural stone looks so much better. Stone blocks looks like a cement block. A roofing nailer, because if you're going to do the roof, you got your shingles, you got your how do I put it? Your insulation on top. Then you have your wood underneath. Usually they use wood and they slide it underneath, and then you have the shingle and another kind of shingle on top, and then you have to nail it. Of course, then again, there's other things that are different, which I'm going to explain. Definitely a utility knife. You need that for everything, anything, especially if you're going to carpet. If you want to put carpet in your, which I'm going to explain to you why not to have carpet. A roofing shovel. Another type of chalk line. There's two kinds. There's one for the house, and there's one for the roof. At least that's how my father put it, okay? You definitely need work gloves. Yeah, you definitely need work gloves and safety glasses, because if that wood comes flying into your face, you're going to get it in your eyes. So you definitely need that. You also need ear protection, because after a while, if you're using saws and things like that, your ears are going to get hurt, and you won't even know what the heck anyone can say. It's almost like when you go to a concert and you're sitting right next to the speaker. Get away from that. You're not going to have an ear left. A dust mask or a respirator. That way the dust from the wood won't get into your lungs. Steel toe boots. Yes, you need these. What happens if you drop your hammer on your foot and you're not wearing those? Ouch. I know my father always told me he took his boots and he took a piece of steel and put it in it on top and on the bottom. He says uncomfortable, but whenever I drop something on my foot, I don't feel it. A cement mixer. You know, these are optionals right here. A cement mixer, a power planner. All these other tools you really, really, really don't need. Now, I'm trying to get you to understand this. Building your house is not as hard as you think. Okay? Building your house is like, but you definitely have to make sure you have enough money for the tools, enough money for the material, and enough land, depending on how big you want your house. So you gotta remember this. When you make a room, let's say a room, say you want to build one room at the beginning. Let's say without the basement, because it's a little bit harder to do basements. Say you're building let's say you're building your kitchen. You need to know how big you want it. And say you want, like, I'm going to give you an estimate of 16 by 15. Now, add 3 feet to the 16, at least 3 to 4 more feet for the 15th. So if it's 16 width, 16 length and 15 width, make it bigger, just by a few feet. Why? Because you have to add the appliances in there. If you want an island, you definitely have to add a little bit more room. You also have to know where you want to put the door. Do you want a sliding door? I prefer to have a dining room with a sliding door there, you know, and the kitchen have a window right, pretty good sized window, not one of those small tiny things. My mother had a small tiny thing, couldn't see nothing. My grandmother too. But a friend of mine, she had a nice, good, big window so she could see the birds and whatever. While you're washing dishes, you can open the window on a nice day, get some nice breeze in there, and that'll help you want to wash your dishes. I know it sounds crazy, but you also have to know where the counter space is, how many counters you need, um, where your fridge is going to go, your stove, if you want a dishwasher. Do you want to wash and dry off to the corner, which is kind of stupid if you ask me. Now, you can put a utility room on the other side of the kitchen because it's like the whole plumbing is all in one section, but it won't bother your kitchen sink to your washer and dryer. I know this sounds ridiculous that I'm telling you how to build a house, but I feel that if you know how, then say if you got a piece of land and you're like, I don't know how to build this. I don't know where to start. Where do you start first before you buy your land? My father did this too. You need to check what the soil is, where the water line is, if there's electricity. If you don't have electricity, you have to get yourself a generator. Um, or plus if you're going to do a generator, if you're off grid, so to speak, definitely going to need a generator. All this costs money just to get the water and electricity. Like I said, I'd rather use, even though it's like $10,000. Yes, $10,000 to put a solar panel on your roof. But in the long run, you won't have to pay as much money to the electric company. Say if there's a storm and everybody's electricity goes out, you still got power. Why? Because you got solar panels. Um, Also, I told you it's going to be a long video, so try and bear with me on this. Also, when you do your house, first you need to go to the county or whatever, the government, so to speak. This is America. So we have, sorry. So we have, where we have to go to uh, the county to find out where the property line is. You got to find that out, definitely. Because you don't want to build and all of a sudden your neighbor's like, no, that's mine. Mm-mm. It's called a surveyor. Get a surveyor. And you definitely need to have a whole lot. What I do is, and I'm going to look him up in just a second. Give me a moment. Let me look his name up. Okay. His name is Nick. And he's at Sanborn Construction. You can find him on YouTube. He talks about all his houses. He tells you what tools you need to build a house or to gut out a house and how to rebuild it back up, what to use. Uh, I was learning from him too, but my father taught me everything I need to know. Thank heavens. You also need to know how many. Now I'm going to go back to the house. How many levels are you going to want? Some people want 2, some people want 3. See, I know how to, and I don't need these right now. I'm going to just take it off for a minute. I know how to not only build a house, but I also know how to make you a getaway pool. Yes, I know that too. I know how to do that. Um, And that, if you want me to teach you how to make a getaway pool of your own, send me a send me a comment and say, hey, can you talk about this too? I'd love to know it. I definitely can direct you to the right person, and I can direct you on how to do it. Yes, my father did that too. My father did everything with the house and how to make a pool that looked like luxury. I I was blessed, but my father didn't do it for us because we didn't have enough room. You gotta make sure you have enough room for your house. Say you're gonna need at least, I'm gonna say, depending on how big of a house you want. Okay, so say your house is 25,500. Sorry, 2,500 2,500 feet. You do 25,000 feet. You might as well get yourself a mansion. 2,500 feet. Okay. And your bedrooms, say your living room is like 20 by 21, but you gotta remember what I said. Add a few feet because you gotta remember you gotta put um the the couch, the chairs, and do you want a fireplace? Where do you want the fireplace? Do you want it in the middle? I've seen uh, a friend of mine's house. It's luxurious. Okay, she's more rich than I don't know, but she has her fireplace in the middle of the living room and dining room. Because when it gets cold, and her room's big, remember that. If you have a big room, the bigger the room, the colder it'll be. But of course, if you get central heating, which is a smart idea, her fireplace is in between her living room and her dining room, so it keeps the whole area right there nice and warm. I know somebody else who has a fireplace in every single room, except for the bathrooms, of course. Can't fit that. Well, you probably could fit that. I think, yeah, I think a friend of mine does have a fireplace in her bathroom, but it's a small one right next to her tub. She loves it. She's weird. Anyways, yes, I have some weird friends. Thank you. Um, so you have to decide on what you want. What do you want in your house? How do you want, on this paper, I put it where you can walk into a foyer. But if if you want your foyer to be like big enough for a little place to sit yourself down and where to hang your coats, and on the other side to have a shoe cubby so you don't bring all the dirt in, you have to figure that out into your plan so you don't make it too small to where you're just, you need a little bit bigger. And how big? It depends on you. Don't let anybody else say, oh no, if you do it this way. No. Mm-mm. Now, the way to build a house, you go and ask a realtor, can I see this house? Just look at the house. Tell them, I just want to see the house. And, they will show you the house. You don't have to tell them how much money you make. You just kind of go see the house. Depending, like I said, you can have 5 bedrooms. You can have the main bedroom on the main floor, and then have the utility room here, kitchen here, and dining room, and then the living room. See what I mean? And that's where you would get uh, your fireplace. So you have your living room here, dining room here. Move over this way, you've got your kitchen. Move over a little bit more, there's your utility room. Move over this way, you got your bathroom, your main bath. You move over this way towards the front of the house, and you've got your bedroom. You can switch it all around the way you want it. If you want your main bedroom on the bottom floor, which I suggest you do, because the older you get, the less you're going to want to walk upstairs. Unless you're very rich and get yourself an elevator. And even then, if you have solar panels, that's fine, because the elevator will work even when electricity's off. But I'm telling you what a 5-bedroom house would look like. With 4 bathrooms. No, 5 bathrooms. No, 4 bathrooms. I'm sorry, I'm trying to figure out how I did it. Yeah. Flip this over, tell me what I did. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 4 bathrooms. Because 2 people can share the same bathroom, depending on if it's your kids or whatever you got. So you got 4 bedrooms upstairs, 3 bathroom, a stairs that go up into the attic. You can make that into a bedroom too, with a bathroom. Who cares, you know? But here's the question. How many people are in your family? Is anybody going to be using those rooms? Also, the attic is usually used as storage space. So you can, have the stairs right here, right there, and then you have this way a wall with a door going into a bedroom, and then you can have another wall over here with a door that goes to the storage room. You can do that depending on how big the house you want. Now, if you want a 3-bedroom, my father made a 3-bedroom, 1-bathroom, kitchen, and living room. Well, the dining room and kitchen were together, but it was small. And living room and a hallway to get to the other rooms. And we had a basement. We did not have an attic. We had a crawl space. The reason why I go is because we had squirrels in our crawl space. And we had also raccoons. And they were making nests. And their babies got stuck in the walls. So we had to tear out the walls and get the babies out and patch up the walls again. Now, walls-wise, I'm going to give you material. You're going to need either wood. Definitely going to need wood. If you're doing stone, you need a lot of stone. If you want to do half stone, half wood, that's even a whole lot smarter. Because then you can make, wooden beams, and then they can go right into the stone. Now, I'm not going to make this video too far. But I'm giving you a little rough draft of what it's like to build a house. I wish I could go to a house and show you this is what you should do, this is what you shouldn't do. But, like I said, go to Sanborn Construction on YouTube. And I watch Nick and Frank, and they work together. And I watch them. And they show, I love it. I know it sounds crazy, but it's like the before and the after. And you see all these shows, they show all those before and after things. They actually not doing that. Those shows, and I'm going to tell you the truth, those shows, most of them, I don't know, but some of those shows are just acting. They're not real. They're just, making it look like it's real, but it's not. How many people have sued these people saying they never did my house? They destroyed my house and never fixed it. You never know. But with Sanborn Construction, you gotta see them. I love it. They tell you what's there, what's not there, what you have to do, what not have to do. Me, I'm just telling you what you need. And Nick also tells you what you need to use to build a house. Now, he does restoration of houses, which is almost the same thing. And he shows you all the mistakes they make, how floors buckle if it's wet, especially when it's tile. And I've seen that happen in my house when my father and mother were alive. The floors buckled because they got wet. So they had to take the refrigerator and the freezer out of the kitchen and put them outside. Luckily, we had a carport. And they brought them downstairs into the carport, tore up all the tile, tore up all the wood, and put down the wood and the tile. Now, I said I was going to tell you why you should not use carpet. Number one, carpet is hard to take care of. You can put down a throw down carpet, you know what I mean? Like a round roll or whatever they call it. My mother called it a round roll. Why? Because she unrolled it and it was just a regular carpet. It wasn't a carpet. And this is after we had carpet. We had carpet on top of the wood. Once my father took up that carpet and he sanded the wood and then he pre-treated it. And every day, every once a week, maybe my mom took Murphy oil soap and mopped the floor, which did not make a mess of it. And, he did that for the whole house then. We had carpet throughout the whole house, except for the kitchen and bathroom. Took it all up. And then we just put throw rugs down. It was so much easier. Number one, you could take the rug out and just beat it, or you could just vacuum a little bit of the area. Either way, it's not like a whole rug. And if something's wrong with the rug, you can wash it if something gets on it. Simple as, whereas having a rug that you cut out and tack down with carpet tacks and stuff like that, it leaves stains. And getting those stains out is very, very difficult. So if you want to see a part 2 to this, I will do a part 2 on Monday. And go through a lot more of this. I'm just giving you a little rough draft right now. Yes, that is carpentry talk, rough draft. If you don't, just don't even say anything. But if you do, let me know. And if you want to know how to make an oasis, like my father taught me, put that in the comments too, and I'll find out and see what you think. So I'm going to try and cut this short. I hope you have a great day. I hope this helped you just a little. I gave you a little bit, very little, of how to build a house, just to start. I hope you have a wonderful day. Thank you for listening, and you have a God blessed day. Bye bye.